This is the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with your host, Vicki Davis.
It's back to school, and educators, you can get your free Educator Wellness Toolkit from today's sponsor, Advancement Courses. Stay tuned at the end of the show to learn how to register for your free kit and how to receive 20% off your next advancement course. Today we have on the show Chris Chappotin. He is an assistant superintendent in Texas, and he is actually going to be on another show that we will link in the show notes about leadership development. But we actually want to talk about a little app, Notion. Now, I've been using Evernote for a very long time. I've also used Notion, still have my account with them because I've got a lot of cool stuff in there, but you're a big Notion fan. So for those who've never heard of it, what is Notion?
Okay, so imagine this web space that you can create and design whatever, whenever, however that you want and customize to your heart's content. I think one of the ways people talk about Notion is it's a wiki space to make it whatever it is that you want. I would say for me, I use it in three primary ways. One way is I use it as my second brain, if you will. So sometimes I geek out on content from August Bradley, Tom Frank, Ali Abdal, Marie Poulin, Francesco, I forget his last name, but he's Keep Productive on Twitter and on the web. I geek out on their Notion content. Red Gregory, that would be another one, because I have a system with Notion and Readwise that allows me to store every highlight in any book, article, whatever, like for all time. So as I'm working on my doctorate, whether it's a PDF that I read, whether it's a book, an article that I've saved through Instapaper off the web, I can highlight those items and they automatically sync with my Notion into a master database that becomes a second brain of anything I could possibly ever need. A second reason I enjoy Notion is because of its database functionality. So whether I'm trying to do something very practical in my job, keep track of POs, I can go and select a date, I can upload a PDF, I can have notes, all of these different aspects to my tracking of POs. But I use the database functionality all the time for a variety of different things. And then finally, in the old days, I would build my own Google site for all my bookmarks. What Notion can become is a super bookmark repository. So when it comes to, you're not just building bookmarks, links in and of themselves, but you can create pages, you can create galleries, you can create databases, you can create just about anything. And it becomes the way in which you interface with the internet. So those would be the three primary ways that Notion is such a powerful tool for me.
Have you used Evernote before, and can you compare it?
I used Evernote, I would say, way back in the past. I have not used Evernote enough recently to compare the current version of Evernote with Notion. What I used Evernote for in the past was primarily to store stuff. So maybe I would take a picture of a receipt that I wanted to keep up with, and I would store it in Evernote. Notion definitely does those things, but what I like about Notion is the linking functionality. You're basically building a website with almost everything that you do. So when you couple the creativity aspect, I did a post on Twitter recently where I compared Notion with Roblox. So I'm watching my 7-year-old play Roblox, and he is building a restaurant in this virtual environment. And I can hear the hamburgers on the grill as I'm listening and watching to him, like the next step of Minecraft, if you will. To me, Notion's the same thing. It's just primarily for adults.
Yeah. And for those of us who miss wiki spaces, it is very wiki-like, and you can build the databases, and you can't build those databases in Notion. Evernote's added tasks, which has been nice. Notion for me, and I do really enjoy Notion, is I almost got so complex, I lost myself. So I feel like I've got to wipe out a lot of stuff. And because I got so excited, I just built. And then I'm like, okay, whoa, what am I supposed to be doing in here?
Yeah, I would say maybe every couple months, I do almost like some 20X time where I go into Notion and I reorganize, or I try that new thing that's come out from somebody. The tasks and notebooking functionality from Tom Frank has been super helpful. And then August Bradley he's got a pipeline vault system that's very sophisticated. I've taken one piece of that, which is that second brain library. And that has been a super time saver, and just continuing to develop my own resource library for doctoral studies, but otherwise as well.
So we'll look for that and link to that in the show notes. Do you use Notion on your phone too, or do you just use it on your computer or your iPad?
I primarily use it on a MacBook. The mobile devices, it just hasn't been as intuitive for me. When it comes to my phone, I primarily use just the Apple Reminders app for task management. And then Notion becomes my interface to the web on my laptop.
Okay, so if somebody's getting ready to get started in Notion or wants to play, what do you recommend they start?
I would recommend some introductory videos and resources from either Red Gregory or Thomas Frank. I feel like if you just approach the tool and begin to tinker, you can definitely do that. It just does so many things that, like you mentioned earlier, it's easy to get lost. Whereas if you have a starting point with some video help, some modeling and that type of thing, you can begin to see how you can use it for the specific things that you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, anything you do has to be part of your system. Have that system or that pipeline or that method. And when it becomes part of your system, the piece I still use is my vacation tracking. So it became part of my system and I could keep up with it easily. There's so much power in Notion, and I'm so glad that we're doing this. What do you think is the biggest mistake people make with Notion when they get started?
I think for me, it was that I tried to apply what I was doing bookmark-wise with Google Sites to Notion. And I missed out on all of the complex, might be too much of a strong word because it causes people to push back from the table, but sophisticated functionality of Notion. I had so many bookmarks as an educator. I've got to go to data tracking tools. I've got to go to resources, et cetera. And so rather than use the bookmarking functionality in my browser, then it just became too much. I built out Google Sites that were specific to the categories that I had links, and I applied that to Notion. That worked for a while, but then I realized as I began to start to follow the people that I mentioned previously, I'm missing out on so much possibility that this tool actually has. And that's when I started to dive into databases and start to make connections with, oh, wow, I can use this for so much more than an easy place to find links.
So Chris Chappotin, Assistant Superintendent, thank you for helping us geek out with Notion. I do recommend that if you don't have a system, it's a great one to look at. It's very powerful and a lot of fun, and it does make very pretty web pages. Thank you for coming on the show, Chris. Go to coolcatteacher.com/wellness and download your free Educator Wellness Toolkit from today's sponsor, Advancement Courses. You'll get access to activities, strategies, and tools to improve the 4 domains of wellness. Also, right now, you can save 20% off your next course by using the code CAT20. Yes, that's CAT20, just for our listeners and readers of the Cool Cat Teacher blog. I love their courses because they are flexible with up to 6 months to complete, and you can receive graduate credit through CAEP and regionally accredited university partners or continuing education units that meet your state requirement, like I did. With over 280 courses to choose from, Advancement Courses offers subjects in everything from educator wellness to social emotional learning and more.
You've been listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. If you like this program, you can find more at coolcatteacher.com. If you wish to see more content by Vicki Davis, you can find her on Facebook and Twitter under Cool Cat Teacher. Thank you for listening.